Hi friends, today we're going to talk about another really important skill as we learn to play our whistles. Breathing. Breathing? Yes, breathing. We don't really pay attention to our breathing unless we have a health condition that forces us to, or we've exerted ourselves and need to catch a breath. As you're playing your instrument, you could find, if you're not paying attention, that you're exerting yourself and you need to catch your breath. That's going to ruin the tune for you. So it's important for us to really learn how and when to breathe. When I was young, taking saxophone lessons and learning to play, I was learning to play different styles of music, particularly classical music, and breathing was very scripted. You breathe here, and you breathe here. And from here to here, you don't breathe. And you need to learn to hold your breath. You need to learn proper breath management so that you can go that distance. And you need to learn to breathe in a way that nobody knows you're breathing. It's a whole thing. But I've watched amazing Irish whistle players, and I can see them breathing. And they breathe in a way that's noticeable, and it's almost as though their breathing is part of the way they're playing the tune. So I've wanted us to learn a little bit from that and from what I've observed and some other things I've read about how to breathe as we play. I am so thankful that the music we're learning to play on our whistles is alive, and you're allowed to breathe when you need to. It seems to me that there are no laws around breathing, no hard and fast rules, but I believe there are some guidelines that I want to share with us, and that will help us in our playing. So here are some of the guidelines I want us to share together. I've already mentioned the first. Pay attention to those amazing players for whom you have deep respect. Notice how they breathe. You don't necessarily have to imitate them in it, but notice that you could see their breathing. Notice that they breathe. Sometimes it's a short distance, sometimes it's a longer distance, sometimes you can hear them take a big breath. That is okay. So if you're worried about your breathing, put it in a shelf and come back to breathing in a way that helps you play. So watch amazing players and imitate them. Do not wait for a section break to take a breath. You don't have to breathe here and then wait till you breathe over here at where the composer of the music put a breath break in. You don't have to do that. Take a breath when you need to. If there is a rare break in the flow of music, be it a fast tune or a short tune, grab a breath. That's important to do. If you grabbed a breath like a measure ago and you have a short break, catch another breath because you need to make sure you're not running out of air. It's perfectly okay. You don't want to find yourself like waiting until the end of a line to breathe. Breathe when you can. Just like imagine you're playing through a dance tune and you're playing that reel, and then you have to shout out, "Wait a minute, everybody, stop dancing, I've got to breathe." Don't do that. Take a breath when you need to. Take a breath before you need to. By the time you need a breath, it's almost too late and you'll start getting lightheaded. And as you're learning a tune, think about like places you could breathe that will help as well. Because you want your breathing to enhance your playing and not to distract from it. Now we've talked about ornaments. And like if you get a slightly longer note, like you get a little quarter note, then, put an ornament on it. You could hit that note and take a quick breath. That could be another ornament. You can use a breath that way. If there is a rare pause, grab it. Another thing to think about, if the tune is building to a bit of a crescendo or a big transition point, don't breathe right before the transition point. That's why I say look at tunes ahead of time, because you want to say, this is where it begins building. I need to have a breath early in there so that I don't need to take another breath until right at the moment after I hit that that peak of how the tune's building. Accept the reality that you may have to miss a note now and then as you're playing. So my encouragement to us is pay attention to not running out of air. Watch those folks that play well and imitate them. Breathe enough. I was looking at the tune Dunmore Lasses, and I was trying to think, when would I breathe in this one? The tune goes, and then it's going to go back down and repeat that. After that first two measures, you may not feel like you need a breath. Catch one, because you don't want to run out. Then you could catch a breath right there. You could catch one there if you wanted, but you might miss that eighth note. And that note is the perfect one, I think, for catching a breath, because we're now going to build to a bit of a crescendo, and you don't want to miss that. You want to breathe at the end of that crescendo. So that would be. You could take a quick breath right there, because then the song's going to step down and you don't have an opportunity for a good breath. So pay attention to how a tune flows and grab a breath where and when you can. It's very helpful. Again, like I said, use your breathing as almost one of your ornaments. Don't run out of air. Pay attention to these great players. Enhance your playing with your breathing. Until next time, this is Scott Shade. Happy low D whistling. And don't run out of air.